Hi everyone, I hope you're having a great weekend. Today I would like to discuss training methods and how to study chess properly and effectively. And I would like to show you what I do to improve, what my training routine is, and what I think are the most effective ways to improve at chess, and which training methods can you use to cover every single aspect of the game to make sure that you advance rapidly and that you don't stagnate or miss out on studying a specific part of the game. Before I start, I would like to ask you to consider which training methods you're using now, and by all means let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you do to improve, and I'm probably going to find something I can implement in my own routine. And I would like to emphasize that my training routine is perhaps, it takes up too much of my time, and I'm aware of that, and I'm happy because of that, because I'm serious about my chess. And this video is for those who want to improve, and if you only want to play chess for fun, then this might be too serious. So to start off with, I would like to talk about game analysis, because that's, in my opinion, the most important part of your training. Now, analyzing games shouldn't be done just by looking at games and browsing through the moves and thinking, oh, this was good, this wasn't good. You need to have a specific topic in mind. This game I put up on the board is a very interesting Breyer Caro-Kann, which Tal won with the white pieces, and I've been having problems with the Breyer variation, so I analyzed this game a few weeks ago. So c6, d3, this is the Breyer Caro-Kann. Now, once I want to improve my middle game or my opening, I'm going to analyze games first of all. Now, analyzing this game, for example, is going to give me ideas on how to fight the Breyer Caro-Kann with the black pieces, and I'm also going to see at least one way with which white could defeat black in the Breyer variation, because Tal won with the white pieces. So analyzing games could be the most effective training method if you utilize it properly. Now, what I do during analysis, and I don't do it on my laptop, I always do it over the board, is that I look for improvements. I try to punish the bad moves by both sides. I try to think of what the players were thinking during the game and what their plans were, and they try to improve on their plans, and they try to think of plans of my own. So this is all common theory for now, but let's say you get into some middle game, let's say here. So it's obvious that black is trying for an attack on the queen side, and that white is obviously going to have to try and attack on the king side. So this would be a position where I would stop and think about how black can speed up his queenside play and how he could stop white's kingside play. And my recommendation would be that you study not only the openings that you play in, even though that might be the most effective way to improve rapidly, but that you study any games really, as long as they are from considerably good players. You shouldn't really study games from 1200 players, but you don't have to study Grandmaster games either. Any games from, let's say, 2000 rating and above will definitely improve your chess. And I think that it's important to study all positions and even the openings that you don't play, so that you can get a feel for different chess positions. And you don't analyze games to get better at openings. You can study openings separately. You study them to create a knowledge base in your head, which is going to give you middle game plans, middle game ideas, and which is going to improve your play in general. I'm sorry, whoever is challenging me, I'm going to have to decline. So analyzing games, that would be my first priority in my training routine, and I do this every day. Now, how much time it takes depends on the game, depends on what mood I'm in, depends on how much time I have, but generally I like to spend at least an hour, perhaps 2 hours on one game to make sure I could grasp it properly. Now, choosing a game, I mostly do that at random, because I don't want to waste my time choosing a game, because I think all of them could benefit me, and I will often choose the games in which the color that I play won the game, so that I can see how that happened. Okay, the second method I would like to talk about Sorry, I'm just declining one more challenge. Whoever is challenging me, I'm sorry, I can't play while recording. The second thing I would like to talk about, and what's in my opinion the second most important aspect of any healthy training routine for a chess player, is solving problems. Now, I don't just mean tactical problems like mate in 1, mate in 2, any kinds of problems, because you're basically forcing your mind to think as if you were playing a real game, because calculation is something that you improve with practice and with nothing else. So solving tactical problems and positional problems will improve your calculation, which will in turn speed up your play during a real game, but it will also allow you to spot opportunities during a real game. Now, chess is about pattern recognition, and it's a vast game which nobody could know by heart, and there's no way you could know all variations. But pattern recognition can help you feel comfortable when a specific situation arises on the board. And if you have solved 20 problems with one position, then once you get it on the board, you're probably going to spot it and you're going to be able to react to it in a better way. One thing I would like to emphasize is that you should never really use your laptop or use engines. My training method is that I take a tactic either from a book or from anywhere, Chess Temple, eChess, chess.com, they all have tactics. Take a book, take a position, set it up on your board and think. Now that's one thing, put it up on your board, don't do it over the screen, because during a real game you're playing on the board. The second thing, you always need to solve tactics without moving the pieces. That's essential, because during a game you're not allowed to move the pieces. So even though it's harder, not moving the pieces will improve your visualization, which is one of the key aspects of any good chess player. And visualization skills are going to help you improve your ability to picture a position 5 or 10 moves in advance, and during a game you are then going to be able to calculate faster and better. So that would be the second thing, and I think this is also crucial for improvement. I do this every day if I can. Sometimes I don't manage, but I try to solve at least 3 to 4 problems a day. And it takes up a lot of my time, because sometimes I choose a problem which is really hard and it takes me a lot of time. But in time I'm improving, and I'm able to solve much more problems than before. Now one thing I would like to give you as a tip, if it's too hard to solve problems without moving the pieces at start, then rather than moving the pieces, take a piece of paper, take a pen and write down the variations you're thinking about. Just write them down on the paper and go through them as if they were in your head. And in time you're going to be able to memorize them. The third thing, and an essential part of every training routine, is reading books. Chess books aren't outdated, and in many fields of science, art or whatever, philosophy, books have become redundant, but in chess they haven't. And one of the key things about books is that they force you to put the position on the board or imagine it in your head. If you just browse through the books looking at the pictures and you don't understand the position, then you might as well not read them at all. So in order to read the chess book, you either have to set up the position you're looking at on the board, or you have to be able to visualize it perfectly. So whichever you are doing, it's improving your chess. And the second thing I would like to emphasize is that reading about chess, being involved in chess, reading about what happened to grandmasters, how they reacted, how they cope with defeat, how they prepare for tournaments, will improve your play in general, because you are going to feel much more confident with all that knowledge up in your head, and you're going to be able to lead better chess conversations. So chess books shouldn't be excluded, definitely. And I try to read at least one per week, and I don't really choose them. I just take any book that sounds interesting, and I've also started collecting them, and I go around antique bookshops in my town, and almost every antique bookstore owner knows that I'm buying chess books, and they save them for me and stuff. So you can come by really great titles if you look for them. Now, of course, some books are more useful than the others. Some players really don't know how to write chess books, but still I think that each and every one of them is useful. Now, what I would like to emphasize is that you need to approach chess books critically and don't take them for granted. People are not engines. Some books have been written in the 50s and in the 60s, and some variations are wrong. So while going through a chess book, you should think about ways to improve what the player has written, even though it might be written in the last 2 years, when we have stock vision, artificial intelligence, and whatever. But you should approach the book critically and try to find improvements. And my suggestion would be 1 book per week if you want to get serious about your chess. I would suggest you start with strategy books, positional chess books, middle game books, and the openings that you play most often, to make sure you could improve your opening play and your middle game play in the openings that you prefer. The next thing is endgame study, and this can't be emphasized enough because this is the easiest training method, and it's finite. So once you study the known endgames, you are going to have a vast advantage over your opponents, because even though it might seem simple, you'd be surprised at how many people and how many strong players don't know the book endgames. There are, I would say, about 100 thematic endgames which you have to study and memorize. And once you do, it's going to be much easier to convert at the end of your games. And the most important thing you're going to get from studying endgames is that you will learn how to anticipate an endgame, and you will learn which pawn structures are favorable for you, and you are going to learn when to trade to an endgame and when not to trade to an endgame. Because if you can anticipate the endgame, if you know what the endgame is going to be like, then you know whether it's good or bad for you. And another great thing about endgames is that you are winning, you are losing, or the game is a draw. And everything is simple and everything is perfectly clear. If you know your endgames, then you need to be sure. It's not a middle game where you have numerous variations. It's this middle game, this endgame is losing, or this endgame is winning. And if you know that, you're going to have a time advantage over your opponent, because most often your opponents aren't going to be aware of that. The next thing I would like to talk about is opening play. I've made a separate video on how to study openings, and you can check that out as well on the channel. I think that building an opening repertoire is quintessential to any good chess player's training routine, and that is something that isn't finite. You can always improve it, you can always go more in depth, but choosing a repertoire and sticking to it until you master it is what I think everybody should do. So just choose a narrow repertoire, choose the openings you play, and prepare for them. Once again, use books, use whatever you can, and just improve daily. And there are some great tools you could use, such as databases, where you can see what the other players are doing. You can use the feature on Lichess to create a study, and this will ease the process significantly, because you are going to be able to pick up where you left your last study, and just input the position onto the board, come to a position which you know, then go a bit further, and every day improve and build up on your opening play. And that shouldn't be excluded by any means. And I don't really spend too much time on my opening play. I spend about an hour a day, even though I would like to spend more time, because I think that strategic chess and positional chess and tactics are more important. So I would suggest you build a repertoire, you study it, you get comfortable with it, and then move to middle games and endings, and then come back to your opening play when you encounter a problem. And during your games, you're going to lose in an opening. Sometimes I lose, probably 1 in 10 games I lose because I misplayed the opening, and then I pick up my books and get back to the opening and study it some more. The next thing is play chess. It doesn't have to be tournament chess. It doesn't have to be something organized. Just play chess. And I would advise you not to play blitz and bullet chess, because that doesn't really improve your play. I would advise at least a rapid game, at least a 15-minute game. On my channel, I'm playing 15 plus 15. I think that's enough time to be able to think during a game. The longer the game, the better. It would be optimal to play tournament length games, 90 minutes plus 30 seconds per move. I know it's hard to find a partner sometimes, but online there's always somebody to play. I would suggest playing at least 2 to 3 training games per week, and then analyzing them, which is as important as playing them, because then you're going to get to correct your mistakes before you play a serious game. So you can't really improve at chess without playing chess. The next thing, blindfolded chess, and I don't mean get somebody to play with and play blindfolded. I mean study chess without looking at the board. Set up a position. It might be hard at start, but you can start with king versus pawn. Just put the white king somewhere, put the black king somewhere, put a pawn somewhere. Visualize the position in your head and calculate without looking at the board. And the point of blindfold training isn't to be able to play blindfold chess, even though it's a great benefit of it and you will astonish a lot of people with it. But the point is to improve your visualization up to a point at which calculating in a real game, when you're allowed to look at the board, becomes so much easier. And calculating without looking at the board is going to speed up your chess very much, and the progress is going to be rapid, trust me. It's hard at start, but once again, start with a pawn and two kings, then build up from there. Give one pawn to black, and now it's pawn versus pawn, and try to draw that. And you're going to see that after a while, your calculation and visualization are going to improve rapidly. And this is what I do every morning. This is one of my morning exercises, not only to study chess and to improve in chess, but I believe that having something to put your brain to work with in the morning activates your brain, and then you get to be more effective throughout the day. So visualization is something I would recommend you work on every morning. It takes 15 minutes to half an hour, and you can do that while in the shower or whatever. And the last thing is watch chess videos. I think this is the worst training method you could choose, because you don't get involved while watching a video. You don't really use your brain that much. Even though you can do it effectively, it's not as good most often. And I would advise you that when you watch chess videos, you get involved. Ideally, you have a board next to you and you move the pieces along with the video, pausing it and continuing to watch once you have realized what the position is. Because most often I make mistakes in my videos, and you'd be surprised at how many of my mistakes you've missed because you didn't think about the position too much. So I would advise you to watch chess videos as if you were reading a book and try to get involved. Just make yourself get involved. I know that chess videos is a method of relaxation. It is for me, and this is a training method I almost never use. I only do it to relax, and in the evening I will watch several chess videos just before I go to bed, but I don't take it as a serious method. Now, it's better than watching TV, of course, but it doesn't help you improve that much. So watch chess videos, and this might be, let's say, to give yourself a break from proper training. So now to finish off, let me just repeat what I've said. And my training routine consists of all 8 things which are written on the screen and which I've tried to explain. Once again, I put the emphasis on game analysis, and I think that's the most important thing which you should do. Solving problems is also essential, and reading books combines those two, sort of, endgame study as well, and openings as well. So I would combine the first 5 things and then playing practice games. So I would advise you to, if you don't have much time, and my schedule is extremely busy, I have a lot of work besides chess, and I have several things going on in my life which take up a lot of my time, but if I had only an hour a day, I would use it to analyze chess games, and I think that will improve every aspect of your play the fastest. So once you analyze a chess game, you're working on your opening, on middle games. If the game was reached an end game, then you're working on your end game play as well. So ideally, I would advise you, if you have enough time, analyze 1 game per day, solve 5 problems per day, play at least 1 training games every 2 or 3 days, and read as many books as you can. And of course, repeat, rinse and repeat. If you have 8 hours a day, if I had 8 hours a day to study chess, then I would know how to use them, and they would be dispersed between these 8 methods, probably according to the order they're written in. Okay, once again, please let me know what your training methods are. Let me know what you do to improve at chess. Let me know if you've been using one of these, if you don't like to use one of these, either of these, and in general, let me know what you think. I hope you got something from this video. I didn't want this to last too long, but it has. Thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for more chess. See you later. Bye bye.